Hi, sorry.
So hi, Nicole. So we're just waiting for more people to log in, and then we can kickstart today's session and kind of give you guys a better idea of what we are working on today, okay? So I guess, Antonia, we can give like about 3 to 4 minutes and then we can start.
Yeah.
Okay, great.
Nicole, did you watch the video home?
Yes, I did. I did, and I loved it. It was so informative and thought-provoking and also really beautiful.
Yeah, I mean
And
it's
I would
it's so
love to see
beautiful.
an update. I see it was like 12 years ago, so I'd love to see how much
What the
damage we've
planet
done
looks
right now.
since. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, that's awesome. So Rose, actually, you have to watch it tonight.
Yeah. Sorry,
Yeah,
I've been quite busy. I didn't get a chance to watch it.
yeah.
I did skim through it a bit, uh,
Okay,
before sharing just to make sure everything is in order, but I will make sure that I share it. Actually, I'll watch it before our next session, before we log in at 11.
okay, okay,
Yes.
cool.
Um,
Actually, it one of the things is it's just visually stunning.
yeah.
Just it just shows you that the earth is so beautiful and God is so creative, right? Because it's just there's so much diversity in nature.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know whether we'll have other, most probably we'll have more people join in later. We are recording this session and I will make sure to
Okay.
share it with people before we log back in at 11. So maybe we can just start and we'll have people just join in as we continue.
Okay. Had we said also we'd have a WhatsApp group?
Yes, we will be creating a WhatsApp group, so we'll be working on that as well. I'll work on that as well in the course of the day.
Yeah, because like
Yeah.
now would have been a good time to like, hello, we're on the call.
Yes.
Okay, so who do we have?
We have Nicole.
Nicole?
Yes.
Okay. I don't did we have we interacted before?
Yes, Nicole
Nicole.
has been coming for our sessions, and I believe we
Okay.
also interacted via WhatsApp as well, Nicole.
Did she come for the sustainability session on Friday?
Um, Nicole, did you
Did you,
attend?
No, I
Nicole?
missed that one.
Yeah, but I did.
Yeah,
That's
because
the
I'm not
one that I
recognizing.
missed.
Uh-huh.
That's the one that I missed, but I was able to get the video, the links.
Okay. Okay. So what business are you in?
I make bags from upcycled tire tubes as an alternative to using leather, and we
What?
also incorporate vibrant kitenge fabrics.
So you upcycle tires.
Yes, the inner tubes of the tires.
Uh-huh. And what do you
Yeah,
make with that?
all kinds of bags, guitar bags, duffel bags, any bag that
Mm-hmm.
can be made out of leather can also be made from the tire tube.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Okay. Okay. Well, so what I really wanted us to do this morning was talk about home. And I really wanted to hear from different people. What did you get out of home? Um what did you get out of watching home that you didn't know before?
I didn't like I always looked to the West and I always dreamed of Kenya being as, developed as all these Western countries. But after seeing the video and seeing how much developed countries take from the environment, I kind of wish that we could go back instead of like going forward because it seems the more developed, the more damage they do to climate change. So I would prefer for us to be like less developed. I don't know if you're gonna
Mm-hmm.
get what I mean, because then we don't use as much. There's not so much consumption, especially in farming and water. It's just such a crisis, and people have been saying this since 12 years ago, and it seems nothing has changed. Everything is just getting worse. So big companies and big corporations, they're not doing what they should be doing to become sustainable, and nobody's being held accountable.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I remember going to Konza City. You know Konza City? It's supposed to be a green city that the government is building. And their vision is to be like New York or Las Vegas. And I thought that was really interesting because that's really like the biggest nightmare, right? Like that's what we don't want to be at all from a climate change perspective. Cool. Hi, Cynthia. Hello? Did I see someone else come in?
Yes, we do have Cynthia logged in with us. Hi, Cynthia.
Hi, good morning. Sorry.
Good morning.
So we were just talking about home, and is it Valentine? Was just saying that she learnt a lot about, you know, just basically the damage that we're doing and how development as we know it is actually not very good for the planet. And she was always thinking how we could, as Africa, become more Western. But after watching Home, she sort of feels that we should actually go backwards to protect the climate. So did you get to watch Home?
Not yet.
Okay, it's a real requirement. So maybe this might be a good time to just start with the purpose of this cohort, the purpose of the finalists, because we were just talking with Rose, and I feel like perhaps we haven't done a very good job of onboarding all of you. I mean, our ads are there and our emails are there, but just from interacting with everybody, it almost feels like it's not clear how this is working. So Thunder Fund is a crowdfunding platform, and you can fundraise on it anyway, right now, anytime. You can start a fundraiser for your business. They really want to focus on creatives, and they really want to focus on social impact. They really want to focus on social impact. Sorry, I'm on my phone, so calls keep coming in. So what we've partnered with Underfund to do was we wanted to really showcase the I think one of the things we need to consider is having this cohort not online. It doesn't seem to connect. It doesn't seem to connect because now I feel like I need to repeat everything again just by people coming in late. Rose, what do you think? Should I just go on with what I'm saying and then
no, just continue. Though we are recording the session, so people will get a chance to kind of look back and see if they missed out on anything. Yeah.
Okay. So as I was saying, Thunder Fund is a crowdfunding platform that anyone can go and fundraise for their business right now. We're looking at businesses that want to fundraise up to about 500K. So Thunder Fund is partnered with myself and Chuma, and we're focused on innovation and bringing back African ideology, philosophy, and pride, right? So a lot of our, I think it's Valerie was saying that she's always thought about, how we need to be more developed like the West. And the reason we think that way is because of all the movie stories that we've been told. So we want to create more stories from an African perspective so that younger people can have more permission to be African, right? More confidence to actually investigate African practices as a development way, as an advanced way, rather than thinking of African as backward and then, Western as advanced. Africa was also really advanced. So we have to kind of have some examples of that first. And that's what we're really trying to do. So with the cohort, I think there were about 106 applications, and we've chosen for the people who we feel would engage with this innovation program, we chose 40 participants. So the idea is that we would take your business, we would do some research, we would do some ideating, and see how we could learn from African principles, philosophies, technologies, what we can pull from our African history to enhance your brand positioning, your brand technique, your brand process. And then at the end of that, we would put it into a nice story, and that's when we do the pitch video and the exhibition. And so what we're really doing is innovating on your existing business. So there's your existing business and then another layer of creativity. The point is also, we wanted to have businesses that stand out, that are unique. So when we're actually doing our fundraising campaign, where the people who we're asking to invest really can see that these are really interesting ideas. People like to invest in unique ideas. These are interesting ideas. These are cutting edge. These are African. They have social impact as well with the whole sustainability angle. So that's why the program is the way that it is this week. What we're doing is innovating and ideating on your business. This will also include a business case. So let's say there's a jewelry person, and we, through the today and tomorrow, we are inspired by African history of how they used stones and flower seeds and plant seeds to make jewelry. And we decide that we're going to make a jewelry collection out of stones and seeds. Then we will also bring in an accountant to be able to be like, okay, what do you need to actually make that a reality? What do you need to make sure that you not only produce it and get it out there, but it's also sustainable, that you make enough money to continue making more money. So it's quite an investment that we're putting into these ideas that we want to curate in the next week. And the people that we are chosen in the end will be the people that have spent time actually in the program, because it's very layered. It started with the design thinking and then the sustainability. So if you've missed that and even watching home, you get more and more lost along the way with what you missed. But I think for us also, we are also testing people's accountability. If we're going out as Thunder Fund and saying invest in these businesses, we're kind of taking some responsibility. And we are able to see how responsible you are by just being able to keep a program, because having a successful business is more than having a good idea. It's also about waking up at 8 a.m, having long days, sacrificing your time, especially at startup. So your grit and enthusiasm and participation is also something that we'll be looking at in the next couple of weeks, so that when people are giving you the money, not only do you know what you need to succeed, but we're pretty confident that you will actually produce it and succeed. Does anyone have any questions? Is this kind of a different program for what you thought we were doing, or yeah, let me hear from you. Nobody has anything to say? Can you hear me?
Yes, I can. Nicole, Cynthia,
Yes, I can hear you.
Okay. Can you give me some feedback, please?
It's exactly what I thought, but I really appreciate you elaborating on it more. I wasn't sure exactly how the 12 participants were going to be chosen, and now I have an idea.
Mm-hmm. Awesome. Any questions? You've seen the program. Are there any questions, any parts that you think, any parts that you think are complicated or not clear? So today, go on.
Sorry. So we can actually, I've been waiting on like a right time to actually start the crowdfunding, and I'm not sure, you mentioned that I can start at any time, but I feel like I don't have the sufficient knowledge to actually do it right now. I'd like to, do these
sessions first, and I feel like by the end of it, that's when I'll be absolutely ready to start. So is there like a timeline as to when we're supposed to have it up? Deadline or something
So
like
with
this?
the 10 that we'll choose, and we'll let you know on Wednesday. So we'll let you know on
Okay.
Wednesday who are the final 10. And those great, Cynthia, thanks for the feedback. And those 10, we will then be working on the story and the brand and the business case and all of that. Sorry, I'm a bit distracted by messages. It's fine. What was I saying? That we'll let you know on Wednesday. We've got our own program. It's actually in the program, right? It says quite clearly when we start fundraising. There have been other trainings in the week about how to crowdfund. I think they're over now. There are about 5 different trainings, but the recordings should be available. Right,
Yes.
Cynthia? Right, Rose?
Yes, everyone, if you do
Yeah.
check your emails, I did send out an email with a link to all the sessions that we had on crowdfunding. However, if anyone is interested on having maybe one-on-one session on learning more, I am happy to schedule that in with you guys and just take you through more on what crowdfunding is and maybe answer some of the questions that you may have. Even if you are not
That's
the
awesome.
selected 10, we do want to still guide you in case you're interested. We've had from our previous cohort, we did have quite a number of successful campaigns. The highest campaign was able to raise about 1.3 million. And I would definitely love to share more knowledge on how to have a successful campaign. So we can always keep that in mind. Yeah.
Thanks, Rose. I think that would be awesome. So I would advise that you wait until Wednesday to know whether we will be the ones, you'll be one of the 10 chosen, and we'll be able to help you craft everything, you know, from your pitch document, exhibition presentation, your video pitch, your business case, so that you're actually fundraising for the amount of money you need, because that's also quite tricky. You could fundraise and you didn't do your math correct, and then you're not even able to carry on with the project, which could hurt your fundraising reputation going forward. So anyway, so I would wait until you know whether you're part of the 10. If not, we're starting to crowd fundraise as a group on the 5th of December. And I think it would still be an advantage to crowd fund with the rest of us. Like if we all launch our campaigns at the same day, there's a bigger audience from our aggregated audience paying attention to Thunderfund at that time. So those would be the two advice. Wait, see if you're part of the 10, because then we'll do it with you. If not, start on the 5th. But otherwise, you have access to all the tips, and you can speak to Rose, and you can fundraise like literally anytime otherwise. Any other questions? There were some other guys. Okay. So how many of you watched Home? I can't really see who's in the room, but it'd be nice to have a show of hands.
Brian has lifted his hand. He was able to watch the video.
Are you willing to share what you got out of it, Brian?
Yeah, I can see also Leslie has raised her hand up. Maybe Brian, we can start with you, and then we can go to Leslie next.
Okay.
Sorry, guys, my internet today is a mess.
Oh, Pole.
Sorry about that.
It's okay. Anyway, so I hope we're all good. I hope we had a good weekend. I did.
You did.
Yeah. And yeah, I watched Home. It was running for around 1 hour, 37 minutes, I think. Yeah. So I did. And yeah, from the creator, Ian Arthur's Bertrand, I think it was an enlightenment moment for me as a person, because I think that what I stand for, what I believe, was highlighted in that documentary. So I think the biggest takeaway was to take care of our, environment and ecosystem so that it can take care of us in return.
Yeah.
And and the fact that everything is interconnected, like we are all in this together. We need the plants need us. The soil needs the plants, and the plant also needs soil, and we also need water. The same way, I think water also needs us to take care of the environment so that it can, it can keep, sustaining us. So for how this is applicable to, say, let's talk about the African setup. I think that we really need to go back to our history. We really need to go back to where we've come from, and some of the practices that we used to do that conserved the environment. For example, I think in my I don't know if it's early to talk about this, but I think in my pitch, I'm going to talk about, like, I'm going to compare the African heroes and the Western heroes. I even question why we need heroes carrying guns, in the West. Our heroes in the West, they carry guns. Our heroes in Africa and in Kenya, the people like Wangari Maathai, they plant trees. You get. So I think we also need to really go back to who we look at as inspiration so that we can see what they do. Because if my kids, I don't have kids yet, but if my kids grow up to look at people like Wangari Maathai as their mentors and as their heroes, then definitely we'll have, in the 40 years to come, I don't think we'll have problems of global warming and stuff. But if my kids look up to heroes that bomb, that make atomic bombs and all these, films and stuff as their heroes, then in the next 40 years we'll have a problem. So I think that is my biggest takeaway. Thank you.
Yeah, thanks for that so much. What I was also saying is that as long as we don't have African-inspired business, we're never going to be inspired by African history, culture, philosophy. We're inspired by Western ideologies because they're just in our faces, in the media, in the music videos, in the songs, and they were just bombarded. So we think our thinking is based on what we see, hear, experience. So, the more African businesses can stand up for African philosophy, the more we can sort of research. Also, information is getting lost as old people die off and things like that. Some information is just lost. We'll never get it again. So I think it's really cool what we're trying to do together in this cohort, which is to, bring that African philosophy and infusion into our businesses, and then be proud of it and showcase it. And hopefully it becomes infectious. So Leslie, what did you get out of watching Home? And thank you so much for all the people who are actually doing the homework.
Good morning, guys.
Morning.
Professionally, I am actually an urban planner. So
wow,
this
awesome.
This documentary was actually this documentary was actually a very enlightening one, because even through my coursework, we mainly learned about how to create sustainable urban development. And being in the creative industry, I was actually curious about how I'm going to integrate like what I have experience in and joining this new world. And what was very interesting to me in the whole throughout the whole 1.5 hours was how
Thank you so much.
with how human beings are the biggest contributors to climate change. And we can see this through how we, there was something about how we are currently using more and more energy, more and more water to like process our oil and everything. And I like the fact that at the end of the documentary, there was actually a bit of hope. There's countries like Denmark who are trying to like harness like wind energy. We're trying to move to like solar and everything. And another thing I noticed is in as much as there's climate change all over, it's the countries with the least carbon footprints that are actually experiencing the most adverse effects. And one of the countries we saw there was Bangladesh. I think it's the one that actually is experiencing the floods right now, and they're going to lose like a third of the land will be due to floods. And Bangladesh is actually one of the poorest countries. So as for me, and I think also including it in our pitch, is we want to have a social enterprise. First of all, one thing we're trying to do is like protect our history and our culture. Yeah, you mentioned African philosophy. For us, we are talking about the struggle for the Mau Mau and everything. And one of the angles I wanted to bring about was empowering communities that were mostly affected. And okay, you can plant a tree. Yes, you can tell people, okay, you're gonna plant a tree, but how do you ensure that this tree grows and taking care of it? Because there's a lot of organizations. You will come, you will plant your tree, but that's fake. Or that's where it ends, because no one is gonna like follow up and say, okay, what about this community? We planted trees, but are they growing? Like, have we actually managed to make an impact and actually change how people live? So I think we just want to empower these communities and not just create a sustainable ecosystem, but something that's regenerative, something that can stand on itself and can be used by our future generations even after we are gone. So that's my biggest the documentary.
As an urban planner, you must have had a different perspective, when there was that shot of, I think it's Las Vegas.
Yeah.
Zoom out, it's like just from some apartments, and it's like zooms out and you just see all the lights for days.
It actually is. Because personally, like in urban planning, you have to think from a built environment perspective. You have to think, how am I going to improve people's through like development? But you also have to think about the social aspect of it. You have to understand how a human being lives, what makes them happy, so that you can actually plan for them. So it was a very, very good documentary. Thank you so much.
You're welcome. I mean, the truth is we weren't capitalistic. I think capitalism is all about profit regardless of anything else, right? It's bottom line. And I think, as Africans, the earth was also put like in the bottom line category. It was also critical and important. Things were regenerative, right? Like we understood that we have one planet. And it didn't need to be a matter of being under threat, because the Red Indians also had this kind of thinking, the Aborigines as well, all sort of indigenous cultures were very connected to nature in there was people and also nature. I mean, and people is another thing when you talk about communities. We also worked for the benefit of a group, not just for the individual. And I think capitalism is very like individualistic. It's about it's about just getting ahead by yourself by all means necessary or something. Whereas our African culture was a lot more humane, I think, in terms of everybody in the community being well. So that's interesting. And I think, it'd be interesting to see what would Africa look like if we started to adopt what's even a little bit more natural to us, which is not just thinking about ourselves, but also our neighbor and the planet, obviously. We had things like, let's say with food, we were very seasonal. So we ate when I don't know if you know this, but it takes a whole year for a banana to produce a bunch of bananas if they're organic. So most of our bananas are not organic because we want them all the time. It's kind of like how you have, January is really the true mango season, right? They're so juicy, but we want them all the time. And if we just decided to just be happy with fewer ingredients, and just accept what the earth is giving us and enjoy every season. Okay, this is mushroom season, this is mango season. Just small shifts like that could make such a difference to the planet as well, rather than, you know, this English lifestyle that we have to have everything that's possible in the whole planet for breakfast buffet, you know, regardless, you know, with whipping cream from Poland and, you know, pineapples from, I don't know, Bali, and nuts from I don't know where, you know. Anyway.
Yeah, I totally agree. I think as Africans, we have to go back to being like vernacular. I don't know how we can integrate our vernacular practices to our contemporary living right now. Because when you look at
that's our challenge.
yeah, that's the challenge. Because even when you're saying like practicing vernacular agriculture, like you have to be organic. And even when you look at how we used to live, like we only used to use like the available materials for us to like even build our houses. Because most cultures will just use like mud, sticks, and
but
just even
Manyaka is the most sustainable house in the world.
Yeah, exactly. And it's actually very even climatic. It meets the Maasai's climatic needs because they're pastoralists and they're always like in hot environments. So I don't know how we can like, integrate the vernaculism and contemporary.
So we're creatives, and that's why this call out was also for creatives. We can make things cool. I mean, the reason we follow Jay-Z and all of that stuff is because they made it cool, right? They made things look cool. Americans are really good at like exporting culture. I mean, they're even doing that with Wakanda at the moment, right? They're making our own culture cool. And then we're like, oh yeah, it's cool because they said so, right? So first of all, I think it's that's why I think it's so exciting that we're actually doing this with creatives, because using our creativity through film, through manufacturing or whatever, we can make things cool. And if things are cool, then people will connect to them, and then it could become a trend. Well, that's what we're hoping as well anyway. Nicole, want to say something?
Thank you, Leslie. I also watched the movie, and the part that I didn't like is what you mentioned. The part that actually made me really sad is how countries with the least carbon footprint get affected the worst. If only it was the other way around, because then only these countries would do something about their carbon footprint. But it's just a story they see on the news. They don't really affected by it, so they don't really make the change that needs to be made in order for the climate change to be less. Yeah, if I'm making sense. I actually have a question
and
for
that's the
you.
thing about it, is because it's a global problem, right? But it seems like it's very hard for humans to get together and agree to do something. It seems that it's very, very hard. But
and it's very frustrating.
It's quite unfair.
It's so frustrating because where else are we gonna go? It's like, do they have another planet that they know that they can go to? Are they not thinking about their future children? Like we don't have a planet B really. We have to fix this planet because this is the only one, but it seems nobody cares.
Well, I wouldn't say that nobody cares. I say that capitalism and consumerism has done such a powerful job of convincing us that we need to have this particular shoe because it's in fashion right now, or we need to, you know, make billions, otherwise we're not, you know, we don't mean anything, right? All this marketing has done a really good job. So we have to now be the marketers of a reverse lifestyle, you know. I think humans, you know,
and that
unfortunately,
requires, like,
really operate based on what they get in their heads, you know. Yeah, and I think also people, you know, we can use this to our advantage, but people really want to belong. You know, when I look at capitalism or materialism, where people want to have flashy everything, you know, a wardrobe that's just, you know, full of 17,000 shoes. In fact, some people want to have rooms, you know, where they have like where they have all their shoes, like 5 rooms for the shoes. And then people are like, oh wow, that person is so amazing. And then you know, that's someone else's aspiration as well. I think all of it is because people just want to be loved and accepted. This is what I think. And so that's why trends are so catchy. Nobody wants to be left out, right? So right now we're in a materialism, consumerism trend. But I think there's enough room for us to make it a trend to be minimalist, to be seasonal, you know, to work in harmony with the earth. I think there's room for that. And I think that's what we need to do.
Yeah.
Is there anybody else who wants to say something about home? Okay, cool. So these 2 days are basically, we're now fully in the R&D program, right? I was saying earlier at the beginning that we're here to take your business as it is and then innovate on it, add another layer of innovation around sustainability in African culture. So first, hopefully you're willing to allow that to happen, because that's what this cohort is about. I think we could have communicated this a bit better, but I'm hoping that I'm making it clear now as well. So the next 2 days are really like what we're calling, absorption. It's really like getting inspired on your industry, doing research online, calling your relatives, calling people who work in these fields. We don't really have time to read books, but however you can do your research. So we're going to do for today is going to be a bit of business research. So it's really on your competitors, your customers, your team, and then just generally the bigger picture. And then tomorrow we're really going to narrow in on African philosophy. So tomorrow is really when you might be calling your grandmothers or aunties and people like that from the old age who might be able to tell you how things worked in your industry in that way. And then we'll start sort of ideating new ideas or how we could innovate what you already exist to about 10 ideas by the end of tomorrow. And then you can kind of sleep over them for Wednesday and Thursday, and then narrow down to one that we'll really now work on building your brand pitch, building your story, making your video and everything over the weekend. So part of the being chosen is also got to do with your participation and engagement. And I think we were quite clear in the beginning that we would take quite a lot of your time. I think in the registration form, it said 2 weeks. So hopefully everybody has the time. The next session is about looking at your competitors and looking at what are their key messages when you're talking about, why don't we all be sustainable? It's because there's some really solid or enticing communication going on around why you need to be materialistic, right? Or why you need to, let's say, I was talking about simplicity with food, but some of these posh brunches are about having everything under the sun. Looking at their communication, what is it they're appealing to? Why are people attracted to that? So yeah, that's what we're going to do in the next session, and then we'll catch up. So we'll walk together, do research, come back, share. Do research, come back, share, like that. So Rose, maybe you can. I haven't been looking at the clock. Maybe you can guide us.
Yes, so we should be scheduling back in at 11, but maybe Antonia, you can let people know what they will be researching on in the next 2 hours. So ideally, after every session, we'll be letting you know when we're coming back. We will be using the same Zoom link. So if you reference the program that I shared with you guys on WhatsApp and on email as well, at least it gave you an understanding of what we're working on individually, and then being able to regroup for 30 minutes and just sharing some of the gatherings that we have. So maybe, Antonia, I can read out what was scheduled in for 9 to 11 a.m.
Yeah,
so
go ahead.
what you'll be doing between now and 11 is competitor analysis. So you're going to do online research, do phone calls, visit or reach out to visit or kind of research on 5 competitors. What you need to identify is what are their key messages, identify what about their brand stands out for you and what inspires you about their brand as well.
Yeah.
For those, kind of research that, gather all the information for the next 2 hours. And then at 11, let's regroup again, and then we can share our findings and just share feedback on what we've been able to research. Yes, I hope that's clear for everyone. I want to hear people say, "Yay, it's clear," but I hope it is. Okay.
Yes,
Okay.
yes, yes.
This is also a good time to say, I just have to say, you cannot be wanting to pitch for money through a crowdfund or in person or anything like that if you are shy.
Yeah.
As an entrepreneur, the main skill is selling your business 24/7. So we need to practice talking.
Yes, which
it
seems we'll be doing a lot of at 11. So let's regroup at 11. Like I said, same Zoom link, and then we can discuss more on your findings. Okay, everyone?
Okay, thank you.
Okay, thank you, guys. See you shortly.